Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the National Council on Drug Abuse Town Hall meeting in association with the West Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, their EYES Mentorship Program. This evening, we are certainly happy, we are excited, we are proud that we have made this step in having this contribution to this audience. So the National Council on Drug Abuse, through its partners, well-wishers, extend to you a warm extend to you. Thank you. We extend to you a warm welcome town hall meeting. We aim to build better partnership, promoting personal health, influencing good decision and well-being among our people. Our theme, drug-free lifestyle trending, and that's a move we are promoting, that one adopt a drug-free lifestyle. We continue to extend that special effort that you made to be here this evening. There are many things that are happening around us and many distractions, but you made the time to be here with us. Your presence is your commitment, and it's a time for the process for change to begin. So special welcome to our Custos, Honorable Conrad Pitkin, JP, CD, Custos Rotolorum of St. James. Our Mayor Representative, Councillor David Brown, our Executive Director, Mr. Michael Tucker, our Client Service Director, Ms. Colette Curlew, our esteemed guests from the Ministry of Health, and other members of the panelists who will be introduced to you later on. Our partners from the West Jamaica EYES Mentorship Program is very dear and valuable to us in making this program a reality. We are happy that our guests, our students, our community members are here to partner with us and for our NCDA family members who traveled from Kingston to be here in the West. Our NCDA team and our teams of volunteers, we are most appreciative of your service. We appreciate your presence. Please feel free to participate in our discussions, in our presentation, and be engaged. Once again, we want to extend to you, and we are going to invite our host for the evening to take us through the program. We have Miss Susan Brown, National Council on Drug Abuse, Substance Abuse Officer for the Parish of St. James, and we have Miss Kamara Dixon, our representative from the West Jamaica Conference. Let's have them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morris. We accept your welcome, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. We're so happy that you're here joining us this afternoon.
Indeed, Susan. I don't think they heard you, though. So we probably need to try
All right,
it again.
so let me say it again. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We're so happy that you're here with us this afternoon.
Certainly. And if you agree with us, like that our theme says, drug-free lifestyle trending, I have a little activity I want you to do for me. When I say drug-free lifestyle, you say trending. You want to try that with me? Of course. So, drug-free lifestyle.
Trending.
I don't get it, man. Let's do it again. Drug-free lifestyle.
Trending.
Normal. And that's no lie. So we indeed want to welcome you into this space this afternoon. A very important conversation,
Yes,
Susan?
yes.
This town hall meeting.
Yes. And it's important. This month, November, nationally is being observed Drug Awareness Month. And as you would have known by now, that our theme for Drug Awareness Month is drug-free lifestyle trending. We want everybody posting, liking, talking about it.
Certainly.
Yes, we want to get drug-free lifestyle to be trending.
Absolutely. Yes. And while we are making this event trending, we want to let you know the different platforms that we will be streaming on. Of course, we'll be on WCCN 360, that's YouTube, Drug Free JA, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as the National Council of Drug Abuse, that's their YouTube page. So we're on WCCN Suzanne 360 YouTube, Drug Free JA, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as NCDA YouTube pages. We're imploring you to share the link. It's a very important encounter this afternoon, and we think everyone should be a part of this conversation. We cannot start this program without prayer, so I believe, Suzanne, we should now go over to
Pastor Wallace, and he'll take us through prayer.
Certainly.
All right, so good to see everyone. We invite you at this time to stand as we talk to our Heavenly Father, our provider and friend. And as we in Jamaica say, our Father, who art in heaven, we're very glad that He is not just our Father, He is our eternal Father, and He is our friend. And whatever our situation may be in this world, He's the one who will empower us to make wise choices. I invite you to bow your heads with me. If you're tuning in online, you're free to pause where you are and just bow your heads with us as we pray together. Gracious Heavenly Father, even now we recognize that you are still the God who provides. We recognize, Lord, that you are still the God who watches over this world. We recognize, gracious Father, that you are the one who sends your rain and the sun upon those who are good and those who are not, upon those who seek to do justly and those who are doing injustice. We recognize, gracious Father, that we live and move and we have our being in you. We recognize, gracious God, above all things, that your desire is for us to have life and to have it more abundantly. And so we pray now, gracious one, that you will bless this afternoon's proceedings. We ask, Lord, that you will grant wisdom to those who shall lead and those who shall present. We pray, gracious God, for those who will come to be impacted and for those who will join on the virtual space, that you will share such a word that someone will find hope, someone will be inspired to make wise choices. We pray in a special way, gracious one, for those who are critical to the advancement of such a program, that you will grant to them strength not to be daunted or discouraged by difficulties. We pray, Holy Father, that those who may perhaps be on a path that may lead them to be destroyed, that as a result of something that will be said here this afternoon, that somebody will come to be delivered and somebody will come to be rescued. Above all things, gracious God, we pray that you will grant to this place your angelic presence, that we ask, Holy God, that evil angels will be held in check, and that whatever shall be done here today, that somebody will realize that you are a God who is interested in every area of the human being, is our prayer and our asking. In the wonderful name of Jesus, let all people say amen. Amen.
Amen, indeed.
Amen. Amen.
Right. Susan, we have come to realize that drug misuse is, I'd say, a pandemic.
Yes.
In our Jamaican society, and we found that partnering with different entities, different agencies,
is critical for any kind of change to take place.
Precisely. is critical, as Susan said, for any kind of change to take place. And so some of our stakeholders this afternoon are persons representing from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Law Enforcement. Who else do we have, Susan?
We have the Ministry of Health. They're here. We have our youth representative because they play a major role in any kind of prevention or intervention programs that we are involved in. So we have the youth representative here as well. We have the church.
The church.
Yes, the ministers' fraternity. They are here as well with us this afternoon.
So you see where all of us are coming together because we realize that this needs to stop and we need to start having this conversation. And so to bring greetings on behalf of the Executive Director of the National Council on Drug Abuse, Mr. Michael Tucker, we will have Ms. Colette Curlew to do same. We're going to hand over to her now to bring you greetings. Ladies and gentlemen, please make her welcome.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Drug-free lifestyle? Can't hear you. Let's go again. Drug-free lifestyle? And that's what we want to happen. We cannot do it without our partners, so I'm happy that they had mentioned it. And today we're partnering especially with the West Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Thank you for accommodating us. Thank you for hosting us. Thank you for going live with us. Look at us. And partnering with us. So thank you all for being here. Pastor Vincent Rose, Pastor Franz Chambers, I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. Pastor Mary, Mrs. Kadisha Grant, Mrs. Tanisha, Miss McIntosh, and Mr. Vassell. So thank you all for having us and hosting us. I would like to apologize for our Executive Director who should have been here, and I think he's still on his way, and also the Honorable Minister of Health. They wish they were here today, and they tender their apologies. So with that said now, drug-free lifestyle trending. Why are we doing this? In the aftermath of what we discovered with the Molly and the increase in new psychoactive substance use, we decided that we're going to do a communication campaign for the next 2 years. So Drug Awareness Month is the launch of that 2 years campaign. And what is the theme? What's the theme? And so we have to be trending. We have to take care of Jamaica. We want to go back to the time when it takes a village to what? And who is that village? So I want us to play our role in raising our children, not just our children, but our neighbors' children. And that's what this is about. We want you to impact others. We want you to consider, and I know the Seventh-day Adventist Church, that's your motto, drug-free lifestyle trending. Let it be infectious. Thank you, all the time, right? So we want it to be infectious. We want your neighbor to know that. We want your neighbor to do that. And we want you to help take care of your children. So as we partner with our other partners, Ministry of Health, Education, Labor, all of us coming together, and the community groups, and the faith-based organization, community groups, service clubs, as we come together, the schools, and children. You are the ones that are going to make it trending, you know. You're going to log on, Drug-Free JA, and do the drug-free lifestyle trending. So all the best with the rest of the conference. The town hall meeting. Thanks for having us again, and we give you thanks. Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, so we want to thank Miss Colette Curlew. She is the Director of Client Services for the National Council on Drug Abuse, and we want to thank her. Next, we are going to be doing greeting is the Honorable Conrad Pickton. Is our Custos Rotarium for Montego Bay, and he is going to be bringing us greeting next. So we want to welcome him as he brings us greeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one correction. I do not want to take the shout from my mayor. I am the Custos of St. James, and he is the mayor of Montego Bay. So, that's just that correction. Miss Colette Curlew, representing Mr. Michael Tucker, Executive Director of the NCDA, Mr. Clifton Morris, Regional Manager, NCDA, Dr. Marcia Johnson Campbell, other distinguished invitees, students, those who have joined us virtually. Good evening, or still good evening. I am asked to read the proclamation from His Excellency. So I will not be bringing the greetings, rather I am charged by Mr. Morris to read the proclamation. A proclamation by His Excellency the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica. Whereas during Drug Awareness Month is commemorated in November each year to increase public awareness of the impact of drug use on our society and to empower individuals, families, and communities with life skills, thereby enabling them to make healthier lifestyle decisions while strengthening the protective factors against drug use and misuse among at-risk populations and Jamaicans in general. And whereas the National Council on Drug Abuse, NCDA, and its allied agencies are committed to building the protective factors and taking the message of protection of our children from substance use and misuse to communities, including educational institutions, non-government organizations, and companies through public education campaign and indigenous and interactive evidence-based prevention programs. And whereas the theme for Drug Awareness Month and the public education campaign is drug-free lifestyle trending, is focused on youth and families regarding the dangers of drug use, especially new psychoactive substance use by adolescents, and the promotion of behavior change to modify the pattern of drug use in Jamaica. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Linton Allen, member of the Order of the Nation, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Order of Distinction, Knight Grand Cross of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Governor General of Jamaica, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2022 as Drug Awareness Month and encourage all Jamaicans to participate in the activities across the island, given under my hand at King's House this 20th day of October in the year of our Lord, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, the Honorable Conrad Pitkin, the Custos of St. James. We should give him another round of applause.
Thank you. Yes.
And Susan, I observed something in this audience this evening. I see a lot of my young people here.
Yes.
And we know because the National Council of Drug Abuse has done their research, and we find that there are different drugs that are being misused. Now, my young people who are watching and are in here, whenever anything is trending, it's always broadcasted among you and your peers. So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to be heralding on your lips, from your lips, the theme of our town hall meeting this afternoon: drug-free lifestyle trending. And I know you guys get buoyant sometimes, so I want you to shout from wherever you are the theme. When I say drug-free lifestyle, you say trending. Drug-free lifestyle
Trending.
no, man, I know the young people, that's what me know I used to. I know you can do better, so we're going to do that again. Drug-free lifestyle.
Trending.
Right, that's so normal.
Loving it. I
That's
like.
right, but guess what? This is no lie this time.
Yes,
So, Susan, what do we have coming up next?
All right, so coming up next, we have a musical item, and that will be coming from Davani Lewis, and he's a student of Cornwall College. So he's next, he's on the saxophone, and he's going to be playing for us this evening, You Deserve It.
Look, I expected a rousing round of applause for this young man. Listen, this is a town hall meeting, yes. But where we see the youth exhibiting such talents, we have to be proud of them. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. That's why, Suzanne, we're having this town hall meeting.
Yes.
Because we don't want our youth to be wasted away because of drugs.
Yes.
We
And
want them to propel their talents.
Can
Go ahead.
I tell you a little thing? And I'm going to
Yes.
do a little bragging. That's my neighbor.
Well,
and he is
excuse me.
self-taught.
What?
He is self-taught.
Wow. Let us give him another round of applause. Absolutely amazing. Amazing, amazing. You don't need any drugs. This is dope. What's happening here today is dope.
All right, next we have our research analyst from the National Council on Drug Abuse. Her name is Mrs. Uki Atkinson, and she is going to be presenting on our current drug situation. So we're going to turn over to her right now. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to be able to share with you what is happening among our youth based on what we know and what we recently did in terms of some research that was conducted by the council. So we're going to talk a little bit about the current situation regarding drug use among secondary school students. And I'm hoping that my slides will work with me. All right. So generally what we know in terms of drug use, not only among adolescents, but across the board, adults, older adults, the substances that are most widely used in Jamaica. If I was to say to you, which substance is the one that's most widely used, what would you say? You would say marijuana, Molly, all right, any others? And you're seeing my slide, so the answer is actually there, right? If you look at the slide, what you'll see in terms of prevalence, okay, some of it is missing, but alcohol is a substance that is most widely used. And this is something that has been so for many, many decades. What we know among our adolescents as well is that the average age that they start using substances is around 12 to 13 years old. 12 to 13 years old is quite early, isn't it? And that is a concern because at that age and stage, our brains are still being developed. And therefore, what the council aims to do is to delay the onset of drug use for as long as possible. We also aim to do things like increase the perception of risk of harm of substances. What do I mean by that? When a young person looks at a vape device or a cigarette or alcoholic beverage or a ganja spliff, we want them to look at that substance and say, no, 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 no. That is a potential harm, and therefore we will not entertain or Molly. We will not want to use it because of the potential danger that it can do to us. So we want to increase risk perception. We also want to do things like limit access to substances, because what we found in our studies is that 50% of our adolescents report easy access to substances. Now, why is there this ease of access? Why is it so easy for adolescents to get to substances? Now, let me just say, I have 8 minutes, but the mayor wasn't here, so I'm taking a little bit of time from the mayor's segment. Mr. Morris, that's okay, right? He's here. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, so let me move on quickly then. So, let me just move on very quickly to talk about what we found in May of this year when we conducted a rapid situation assessment. Now, as you can see, I'm populating the slides with some issues that were outlined by our young people across the island. We did focus group discussions among 160 students, 13 parishes, and all across Jamaica. Now it's 160 students. All of these students spoke about issues like mental health difficulties, anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, guidance counselors as well. They spoke about the issues of verbal and physical aggression, which we are seeing almost daily. They spoke about things to do with difficulties at home, the home environment, chaotic environments, parenting, lack of coping skills, difficulties with grief, and then, of course, there's the issue of the influence of the music. Let me stop there for a minute. There is some music in our midst that encourages us to do things that are less than ideal. What are some of the things that some of the music is encouraging us to do? Gun violence. What about the chopping? The music is also speaking and almost glorifying that as well. And in addition to that, the music is also glorifying drug use. Now, when we asked adolescents, well, these are quotes about mental health and some of the circumstances that our young people are going through. Quotes from guidance counselors as well as students. I'm not going to go through very in detail about that, but we also have quotes on scamming where young people were saying, you know, we have a lot of choppers. I know a number of students, male and female. A lot of them are involved with relatives, and that has caused a lot of problems because of the way they use this money freely. You see some of them with a lot of money. You hear them talking about scamming and they don't want to come to school, a whole wide range of things. Now, the parenting environment is also something that we found to be quite alarming and of concern, where guidance counselors outlined that until parents become more involved, we're going to continuously see these problems. Parenting is a major problem. In schools, it's major because a number of parents don't know how to parent, and it is sad. These are direct quotes. Now, let's just hone in very quickly on the substances that were outlined as most popular among our students. These include, and you can see the three, everybody can see? Our students, it's not to say that alcohol and ganja are no longer popular, but across the island, these three substances came out as most popular. So we're looking at Molly, we're looking at vaping, we're looking at edibles. What we also know is that our environment is fast changing. Now, if you look at some of these flyers, this party is called Molly Queen. There are some parties for which you have to take a Molly in order to enter the party. There are some parties that you have to pay a particular fee and you get Molly pills all night. There are all sorts of different kinds of promotions of activities and hot drugs parties and so on. So this is the kind of environment that our adolescents are faced with and the kind of influences that are amongst them. Now, some of the quotes that came out about Molly, and you can't see them very clearly, but I'll just say very quickly that what our young people were able to do was talk about the details of it. So they not only heard about it, but they were able to talk about how it looks, where to get it, how much it costs, what it does to people, why people take it, what it does when they take it, how many of them take it at parties. The problem is emerging. It's already a problem, we should say, but we do not know right now what the scope of the problem is because we have not done quantitative studies. When we look at the issues to do with edibles, it's very similar. Our young people were able to outline how do you get edibles. They actually are selling it in schools. Some of them have it at their WhatsApp status. Just a broad range of access and availability. Another thing is this. The risk perception is quite low. So the feeling that smoking ganja is bad, but eating it is not so bad, is a perception that we want to dispel among our young people because it can actually have the same effect. It doesn't act on your body in a similar way in terms of the speed that it impacts the body or the brain, but it does have significant effects. There were young people who told us that based on their own experiences with edibles, they had ended up in hospital, and they know other friends and youngsters who have ended up in hospital because of the acute effects of edibles. So, moving on very quickly, vaping. Vaping is another thing that has become quite popular. What is the thing about vaping? The thing about vaping is the way that it is marketed. It is marketed as a safer alternative to regular cigarettes. And it is, we in church I can say, is a lie from the pit of hell, right? It is a lie. It is a lie because some of those devices contain even more nicotine than an entire pack of cigarettes. What did I just say? Some of those devices, the nicotine content is way higher than they tell you, right? Another thing is, when an adolescent uses tobacco, nicotine, it can interrupt the way, because nicotine is such an addictive drug, it interrupts the way that the brain works and can cause mental health problems way earlier than you expect. But what our young people were saying is that we're doing it just because of the flavor. It has strawberry and raspberry and chocolate and all of these attractive flavors. And this is a pull factor for these substances. Another thing is, it's easier to mask when you're vaping, because some of the teachers don't even know that some of the things that look like a pod, that they are also vaping devices. So it's easy to mask, parents don't know, and it is a pull factor for our adolescents. Now, I spoke already about the influence of the music. I want to advance very quickly to the strategies that the NCDA is undertaking to address this situation. And can you see my slides? Are you seeing? So we have partnered, first of all, with the Ministry of Education and Youth to be able to increase capacity among our educators, namely guidance counselors, HFLE teachers, deans of discipline, nurses, and so on, so that they can conduct screening and brief interventions within the school system. The problem is not only confined to the school system, and therefore we're not only building capacity among the school system personnel, but also within the health sector, so that health personnel can also do that screening. We're also reviewing the guidelines for drug use in schools. These guidelines were developed or updated as far back as 2015, and there is need for them to be reflective of what the current situation is. Targeted interventions, of course, parenting. Every single social service agency in Jamaica that is trying to reach parents is trying very hard to reach the parents that are almost unreachable. What do I mean by that? Does that mean that parents can't be taught? No, it doesn't mean that. But the parents who we most need are the ones who don't come to town hall meetings. So we're in a hall, but where is the town? Look at how many empty seats we have. Is that indicative of the fact that people just don't really have an interest in this area? Silence. You think that's what it could be? Or is it that it's too late in the evening and people want to go home and eat their dinner? I don't know. But the point is, we have to take these services into communities where we can reach parents who need the messages. Moving right along very quickly. Research is another response that we are coming with out of this rapid situation assessment to be able to determine what's happening nationally among the national population 12 to 65 years old. So we're about to do a research project, a research study next year, starting early next year, and with support from our Ministry of Health and Wellness. Public education, Ms. Curlew already spoke about that we are undertaking a public education campaign that is not only going to be a 3-month quick go in and come out, but we want to be able to get young people to log on to drug-free lifestyle. You see, what I notice about young people, is this. They don't like boring things. And simple things are boring for young people. So for instance, last week we did a school tour at Jose Marti High School in St. Catherine. And we had a social media influencer, and he just kind of switched up the theme, and he started to say, good girls out and stunting, drug-free lifestyle trending. And everybody, but good boys out and stunting. And so he put a little DJ thing to it, and that got the young people more, animated and involved and energized. That's the word. So I'm saying that to say the kind of public education that we use needs to be attractive to young people for them to be able to listen. And that's what we're going to be trying to do. And I'm wrapping up now. Soon finish. So drug prevention, this is the last thing I'll say, is everybody's business. It's not just the business of the National Council on Drug Abuse. It is the nation's business. And so we are calling upon Government of Jamaica partners, ministries, departments, and agencies. We're calling upon civil society, communities, parents, schools, churches, the diaspora, media and popular entertainers, academia. The whole of society approach is needed to tackle this issue. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right, let us give Mrs. Atkinson another round of applause. Now, I was taking my notes, because I found that presentation to be quite informative, and I hope that you would have learned something this afternoon. Did you, by the way? Of course. Now, she said, good girls out and stunting, drug-free lifestyle, and good boys out and... While drug-free lifestyle is, don't forget that for me, please. Thank you very much. So we want to thank Mrs. Uki Atkinson, the research analyst from the National Council of Drug Abuse. Wonderful town hall meeting so far. Now, coming up in our program, we have the councillor, David Brown, representing our mayor of Montego Bay. Right, he's representing the mayor of Montego Bay, so we want you to make welcome Sir David Brown.
Good evening, everybody. Evening. It's a very interesting crowd, Let me just get the protocols out of the way. His Costas, good evening, sir. Good evening, representatives. Good evening, panelists. Good evening, distinguished guests. I can see Pastor Keane in the audience. Good evening. I can see Dr. Brown in the audience. Good evening, sir. I'm here on behalf of His Worship, the Mayor, Leroy Williams, to bring greetings and our input into this socioeconomic, global, and regional pandemic of drug abuse that really and truly has taken a deep-seated grip on our society, especially the demographic of the ages of 14 to 27. Being a public servant, I have first-handedly seen the dire effects that substance abuse and drug abuse can inflict on an individual and a society. And because our country is built up of communities, macrocosmically, our country. One drug that I have taken special interest in, and if you follow current affairs, I actually moved a motion in the parish council, the St. James Parish Council, to get this drug to be added to the Dangerous Substance Abuse Act. It is MDMA, commonly known as Molly, or the scientific term, as my erudite doctor helped me to pronounce earlier, is methylene dioxide methamphetamines. It's a mind-altering substance that induces a great feeling of euphoria, excitement, and a lack of inhibitions. The usage of this drug, I can tell you, has increased exponentially among our youth. In high schools, I see Cornell College here, I see Herbert Morrison here, I see Harrison here. Our youth face an uphill task, especially post-COVID. You see, because they're young and they lack the socio-emotional intelligence to assimilate and filter information, for want of a better word. And they're bombarded with information all day, every day, 24/7. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. A young mind flooded with so much information does not really know what to do, especially in puberty and the imbalance of hormones. This is why a drug like this is a scourge and danger upon our society. MDMA is very easy to obtain, it's readily available, and the caveat in the argument is it varies in potency. So for my younger audience, it means the strength of it. You might get one that is weak, you might get one that is strong. The strange thing about this drug, my students, ladies and gentlemen, is that just like other drugs and illegal drugs on the market, like cocaine, it can be stretched. You can consume this drug and you don't know what you're taking. It will have harmful additives in it that can have a very adverse reaction on your life and the trajectory of your lives. I want you students to pay attention to me very well. Lock eyes with me. Good. There's a drug in America now called fentanyl. Fentanyl kills 175 Americans every day, Custos. Fentanyl kills one American every 8.57 minutes. So that simply means by the time I come off of this podium, very good girl. Imagine our country where we don't have the strongest borders in the world. We take in a lot of guns, a lot of drugs, a lot of illegal items. Imagine if we, a country of just barely 3 million people, get exposed to this drug, fentanyl, that can be mixed into drugs that are being peddled and pushed by vendors on our school campuses every day. Imagine that. In closing, what I would say to my children, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community. Drugs, they're not cool. Books are cool, track is cool, football is cool, netball is cool. So ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, my most distinguished students, my word to you is, be cool. Thank you.
Our overall objective for this town hall meeting is we want to increase awareness and we want to get to everybody talking about the dangers that is associated with substance misuse. So I'm going to ask everybody in the audience to do something for me. Now we are streaming live on WCCN 360. I want you to share that information with a friend right now for me. I want you to go on your phone and I want you to put in on your phone, log on to WCCN 360 and join us in our conversation as we talk about the dangers associated with substance misuse and the impact that it is having on our young people. Thank you. Now, next we are going to have a presentation on non-communicable diseases and substance misuse. And this will be done by Dr. Marcia Campbell Johnson Campbell, and she's the NCD, the Non-Communicable Disease Coordinator for the Western Regional Health Authority. This will be followed by a musical item, a dub from the Harrison Memorial High School entitled Drug Free. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bishop the Honorable Conrad Pitkin, Custos Rotalorum of St. James, our Mayor Representative, Councillor David Brown, members of the West Jamaica Conference team, members of the NCDA team nationally and regionally and locally, yes, members of the health team, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our students, both here and online, a pleasant good afternoon to you all. Drug-free lifestyle trending. Yes, drug-free lifestyle trending. Today, I just want to share a few thoughts and to give you some information on the impact of drugs on non-communicable diseases. A lot of the information can be found on our website, which is ncdip.moh.gov.jm. Non-communicable diseases are the leading cause of premature deaths globally. And here in Jamaica, we focus on hypertension, diabetes, cancers, respiratory conditions, and we add sickle cell and mental health. Every year, 41 million people around the world die from heart attacks, stroke, cancer, chronic respiratory diseases, diabetes, or a mental disorder. And I'm certain every one of you here know somebody who has an NCD or who has died from an NCD. And unfortunately, some of them, we tend to say, gone too soon. There is a strong link between tobacco and alcohol use with NCDs. In particular, the cancers and the cardiovascular disease. Tobacco kills more than 8 million people each year, and more than 7 million of those deaths are the result of direct tobacco use, while around 1.2 million are the result of non-smokers being exposed to secondhand smoke. And even third-hand smoke causes a problem. So even if the person has stopped smoking, is not in the area, the residue that is on the surfaces in the room can affect the persons who enter the room. I recall a previous Minister of Health, Minister Fenton Ferguson, when he championed the tobacco regulations bill in Parliament, said, tobacco kills up to half of its users, and it is the only industry that kills its best and most loyal and faithful customers. The link between tobacco, alcohol, and cancer, cardiovascular disease, liver disease, pancreatitis, and diabetes is such that we need to strengthen all efforts to implement evidence-based strategies to reduce harmful use of these things. Alcohol can be linked to over 200 health conditions, such as liver diseases, cancers, cardiovascular diseases, and tuberculosis. And it does not stop there. It can also be linked to road injuries, violence, suicides, and even HIV/AIDS. The impact is detrimental and increases directly as its consumption increases. Even more so in less developed countries such as Jamaica. Globally, about 2.3 billion people are currently alcohol drinkers. Our previous speaker, Ms. Atkinson, asked the question, what is the most common substance abuse that exists? And people don't realize that alcohol is at the top. More than 3 million people died because of harmful use of alcohol in 2016, and more than 3/4 of these deaths were among men. We don't want to lose our men. Certainly, we don't. Abused substances are also psychoactive substances, and we've been talking about Molly and ecstasy and other such drugs. They affect how the brain works and cause changes in mood, awareness, thoughts, feelings, or behavior. And chronic use of these substances can lead to both short and long-term changes in the brain, which leads to mental health issues such as paranoia, depression, anxiety, aggression, or hallucination. I look forward to hearing our panelists go through some of the other impact of these substances. Now, just to share the benefits of quitting tobacco can be immediate. After 20 minutes of quitting smoking, your heart rate drops. Within 12 hours, the carbon monoxide level in your blood drops to normal. Within 2 to 12 weeks, your circulation improves and lung function increases. And within 1 to 9 months, coughing and shortness of breath decreases. Within 5 to 15 years, your stroke risk is reduced to that of a non-smoker. And within 10 years, your lung cancer death rate is about half that of a smoker. Within 15 years, your risk of heart disease is that of a non-smoker. So it is in our best interest to encourage our people not to start, and if you've started, to quit. There is a mnemonic that we use to help persons to decide to quit, and it is START, S-T-A-R-T. Set a quit date. Tell family, friends, and co-workers that you plan to quit. Anticipate and plan for the challenges you'll face while quitting, and remove the substance from your home, car, and work. And then talk to your doctor about getting help to quit. Listen, drug-free lifestyle, trending. Love your body. Treat your body right. Yes? Practice the healthy lifestyle. Eating healthy, physical exercise, no tobacco, no alcohol or any other substances, and find time to rest, to relax, to enjoy recreation, and pray always. God bless.
Children, give me a hug. Relax and unplug. The best time in the world is love. It comes from God up above.
Fall for the hype and trick. The abuse of drugs make you sick. Make your whole body unfit. And what could a nice but a cigarette stick? Drug free, the way to be. For mommy and daddy and you and me. Drug free, the way to be. Model Jamaica for the world to see. Drug free, the way to be. Disciples for Christ, you and me. Drug free, the way to be. For mommy and daddy and you and me. Tell me how this is cute or fun. Ganja, beat it, black up your gum.
Party nice and music a chump, but rum make hot girl tumble down.
Your mind is a priceless gift. So how you have to take junk tamper with it? Who want to be free, firm and strong? Put your life in a God's hand. Drug free, the way to be. For mommy and daddy and you and me. Drug free, the way to be. Model Jamaica for the world to see. Drug free, the way to be. Disciples for Christ, you and me.
Parents member, word is win, but your actions, I mash up the thing. No smoke and drink in front of Pitney. No send them a shop, figure by ecstasy.
Hot gal and entertainer. Run your lifestyle through a strainer. Man have a strong be men of mind. Dolly dash with the molly and get it right. Drug free, the way to be. For mommy and daddy and you and me. Drug free, the way to be. Model Jamaica for the world to see. Drug free, the way to be. Disciples for Christ, you and me. Drug free, the way to be. For mommy and daddy and you and me. Drug free,
Jug free,
drug free, drug free,
jug free,
drug free, drug free,
jug free,
drug free, drug free, the way to be.
Absolutely amazing. Let us give our young people another round of applause. This is what we're talking about, drug-free lifestyle. Trending, indeed, indeed, indeed. Wonderful presentation so far this afternoon. And if you're just joining us on WCCN 360, Drug-Free JA on Facebook, or the National Council of Drug Abuse on YouTube, we want to welcome you to the conversation where we hear the National Council on Drug Abuse in partnership with EYES. That's Empowering Youth Engage in Society Mentorship Program of the West Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, talking about and raising awareness of this issue we see here in our country, plaguing our youth, the issue of drug misuse. And to share in the conversation this afternoon are some very important stakeholders, and I'm going to be introducing them right away. With me, we have Mr. Stokely Reed. He is the Guidance Education Officer from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. I have also with me DSP Angela McIntosh Gale. She's the Territorial Officer of the St. James Community Safety and Security Branch at CSSB. And by no means least, we have Dr. Elizabeth Crossman, Regional Psychiatrist, Western Regional Health Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make them welcome. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, gentlemen. Yes. It's good to have you, and I feel privileged to be a part of this conversation with you. We have a serious issue in Jamaica, and as a teacher in the system, I am concerned too. I see vaping, I see molly, I see alcohol being an issue in our schools. And with such a conversation here this afternoon, I really wish this auditorium was full. And I really wish that we had a lot more persons on our YouTube pages and our Facebook pages, because it's a sore issue in our country. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to start with you, Sir Reed. As the Guidance Education Officer representing the education, I want to know, giving you 5 minutes to just talk to our audience here, what is the Ministry of Education doing to tap into the issue that we are experiencing here as it relates to drug misuse in our schools?
Thank you very much, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I see in the audience our Costas. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, well, we are no longer with information, so the Ministry of Education and Youth
Okay.
We are proud to continue to work with the various stakeholders in an effort to reach out to our children and to ensure that the future of our nation is bright. Now, in so doing, we continue to hold close to the idea that it takes a village to raise a child. However, we recognize that we are a very important aspect of this village. So the schools are very important stakeholders in ensuring our children see a bright future. Now, over the years, we have been collaborating with the National Council on Drug Abuse and with all the various other stakeholders. Recently, we, in collaboration with Ministry of Health, launched the Mental Health Literacy Program. I see Dr. Crossman sitting here, and she was a big part of that initiative. Now, what we intend to do is to ensure that our schools are speaking about mental health, because we are truly cognizant that many families don't understand and many communities don't understand that many children don't just decide to smoke or to take drugs, but they are influenced by many sources. And in so doing, we want to be at the school level reaching out to our students with the positive messages to steer them away from getting involved. So we have trained recently some team members within the school system who we call the go-to educators. And the go-to educators are persons who students will see as persons who are approachable, persons who are reachable. And they now will try to impact our students to stay away and to if they have started, to try to get back to where they need to be to face the future. We have recently as well tried to launch our integrated service delivery. And we call it ISD, or integrated service deliveries, where we are trying now to ensure that we get a body of specialists to work with us, because our guidance counselors are sometimes overwhelmed with the volume of work that they have. And when this happens, sometimes, referrals don't always end up at the right place.
Right.
So we want to have everybody saying the same thing. And so I can just take up my phone and call someone and say, well, I have this issue. What is the process? Where do we go from here? And we are all on the same page, moving in the same direction. So our integrated service delivery is one aspect of what we intend to launch, and we will be moving forward with full speed. Through the Jamaica Teachers Council, JTC, we recently had some training for our teachers in the schools across the island that we call Return to Happiness. Now, if you recall, during COVID, most of us were impacted by COVID. And it has set back many families in many ways that are difficult. In schools, students have come back with a different personality in many instances. And so our Return to Happiness, we want to ensure that our students understand how to get back to where they need to be and to improve on where they were maybe 2.5 years ago. So there are many initiatives that we are pushing in. Just today, we had a training we call it School-Wide Positive Behavior Intervention and Support. And this is a framework that we want to bring all schools under. Now, this framework covers stakeholders of all walks of life. Now, earlier we asked why the room was so empty. And it is because many of our stakeholders are not here. And when we say stakeholders, we're talking about our vendors, our taxi drivers. We're talking about our parents. We're talking about persons who really impact our children without us or even considering it as being important. And so when we talk about the popular music, your theme right now, trending. You know, many things are trending, but not necessarily NCDA. Not necessarily some of the things that we want to be trending. And so the vendors are ensuring that it's trending. The taxi drivers are ensuring that it's trending. So we have to collaborate. You know, recently in the summer, we reached out and, well, we didn't reach out. I think the JCF reached out to us. And we had an initiative where we spoke to, and my neighbor here will speak to it later on. I know she was the person who invited us. The Ministry of Education was a big part of entering the bus park in Montego Bay, where we had dialogue with our taxi drivers and bus drivers to say, listen, ensure that the students understand what it means to be showing respect. Ensure that the children understand what it means to be disciplined in your taxi, because you are the adult. And ensure that no child comes in your car with a spliff or with a knife. And so when we have all the stakeholders saying the same thing, you know, I hear that at some schools, the vendors are some of the challenging persons to deal with. Mm-hmm. If you grab the baddest vendor and train that person to be an educator, to be pushing the positive messages, then we will have a new future. And that is what SWPB, School-Wide Positive Behavior Intervention and Support, is pushing. There are many other things. The curriculum now, the guidance counselors have always had drug awareness in their curriculum. Yes. The HFLA teachers, through their life skills initiatives, have now started to ensure that they are ensuring that refusal skills, how to say no to your friend who is trying to influence you to use a substance like Molly, and when we were younger we called it ecstasy and so on, to have refusal skills, to have other skills that will help them to survive without just getting into what's necessary. So our HFLE component, our values and attitudes component, especially in Region 4, has been pushing many things that will ensure that it impacts the child. So it's the holistic approach that the ministry is pushing. And we have our ongoing guidance and counseling group and individual sessions that continues daily. I think that's 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reed. That was quite compact indeed. And just to reiterate some of the things you said, but I have a question for you after I've just reiterated some things. So you mentioned that the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Youth, they have mental health literacy program. They also have the schools speaking about mental health. We have trained go-to educators. We also have integrated service delivery, which is intended to also raise the awareness and to tap into the drug issue. And of course, the Return to Happiness initiative, among some others that you have mentioned. Now, these are excellent initiatives, and I'm sure that even at my school, our guidance department is robust in getting these things underway. But what I want to find out from you is from your vantage point, with all of these beautiful initiatives to stem the issue, what system of accountability do we have in place to ensure that what we are doing will work?
All right, so in all that we do, we must ensure that data is available.
Right.
And a big part of where we are going now as a ministry is to manage our data, to see where the schools are now and where we need to go. So all schools currently have what we call a school improvement plan. We call it SIP for short, school improvement plan. And it's measured each term, each month. We want to know where we're going. And if we're not going, if we're not achieving our results, it simply means we need to go wheel and come again. So each school has what we call a curriculum support team that looks at implementing all the necessary strategies. And if that's not working, we will surely look at the data and move on. We do also researches. So outside of the SIP, the school improvement plan, we look at researches to see where we are going and how we will get there.
Okay, thank you so very much, sir. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is serious business, ladies and gentlemen, young people, that we sit here in this fashion talking about a drug-free lifestyle that we want to be trending. And DSP Gale, we've heard Mr. Reed talking about the different initiatives that his department is putting into place. And as one who represents law enforcement, I have 2 questions for you. How much of a concern is this issue of drug misuse among the youth from your vantage point?
Good evening, everyone. Let me say thanks to the National Council on Drug Abuse for having us today. I am Angela McIntosh, Gale, Deputy Superintendent of Police, and I'm in charge of the Community Safety and Security Branch. So as you hear community safety and security, it speaks volume. Now, in essence, we have many complaints as it relates to drugs. Drugs not only in children, but in adults. Now, everything starts in the home. And as we look, we can say that parents are the key when it comes to keeping kids off drugs. Good parenting is the best anti-drug we have. Therefore, if the children are not taught certain values at home, then it is displayed in the school. So it all starts in the home. So if the parents are smoking, then the children may start it. If they drink alcohol, they are going to maybe substance abuse also. So everything starts in the home, and that is what impacts us in the wider society. So in the home. So they take it to school. And in school, some children, by virtue of their upbringing, lack of attention at home, then they fall in the category of having low self-esteem. So it is easy to get those children to be a part of any plan. So they don't think for themselves. So the persons will introduce them to something. They don't know what it is. They just tell them, try this. Right. And when they try it, what's the next thing? Ministry of Health is the next place for them. They end up in the hospital. Not only that, some of them can hold it. But what happened now, to support their lifestyle, they engage in illegal activities. So they will start in the school by stealing a phone, they steal a bag, and they sell it to support lifestyle. Now, this is where the police comes in. When we get such reports, we don't really arrest many times. We find out what is happening. We call in the parents and we dialogue with them once the school involves us. We also refer them to the National Council on Drug Abuse. There is a drugs court also that some persons will have to go. Some of them are beyond help sometimes, but we can't give up on them. And so our main challenge is that when these children start taking the drugs, it is very hard for them to stop. Now I heard Ms. Atkins, I think it was, talking about the hot grubber. Yeah, hot grubber. Recently, we have a situation where the young man just left home and he was just referring to his friend, and his friend who is a supplier, and he knows him. He knew the friend from he was in school who encouraged him not to be on drugs, but then he was one of the vendors. So they will use false pretense encouraging the children not to use it, but then they are the same ones who are selling them. The Molly, it is very hard to detect the vendors, and that is one of the things that we are trying to find out who are the vendors. So a child may put in the order. You don't know exactly where it is coming from. Right. So somebody will just supply. They don't know, and it goes through many hands. So when we get these reports, some of them don't have a clue. They didn't even know what effect it would have on them. Now, as we talk about parents, as we celebrate Parents Month, parents need to check their children's bag. They may have tablets, drugs, pills in it, like Panadol or Fensic. And they will take that, they will take DPH, and they mix the DPH and the Fensic together, and that give them a kick. Wow. Yeah, so are many things. So it's not only the Molly and all of those. They are taking those other prescription drugs also, and drugs over the counter. Now, for us as the Community Safety and Security Branch, what we try to do, we have the SROs, the school resource officers in the schools, and we liaise with the deans of discipline who will tell us what is happening inside. So we look out for these trends. And if you notice sometimes in the bus park, we'll have our police officers putting the children on buses. Sometimes we threaten to video them and send it to their principals. True. And when we threaten to do that, then they tend to get on the bus quickly. As Mr. Stokely told you, we had that meeting in the bus park, and trust me, it was well received. And we realized that we have to go out more and sensitize persons about what is happening. We can't just sit back and say that it is not our problem, it is everybody's problem. Therefore, we as law enforcement officers, we are imploring on the schools to report it. Don't say because your school is a prominent high school, you don't want it in the news. Who are you protecting? Is it the image of the school or the young people? They are tomorrow's future. Therefore, we have to ensure that we, you as adults, play your role so that we can get back our children. Children may take may take drugs to study. Some say it may help them in their studies, but how long will that help them? Is it a fact? And some of them end up suffering from mental health. And that is how now this group, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of National Security, plays a vital role in whatever is happening. And of course, last but not least, the National Council on Drug Abuse, who plays their role in all of this. So we report it to them, and they, of course, take the necessary actions that they are to take. We do record, when matters are reported to us, we record it in our register called the Juvenile Caution Register. And I know youngsters, they don't want their names to be in any register. So if they are to be employed by government to say, check the records and find out what had happened to them, they don't want to be taken into a place of safety. And so it is important for the kids to understand that when they commit any breach, it is not just a breach by itself, but it has a lifetime impact on them. And this sometimes doesn't go well, and it may end up in suicide when they realize that they can't realize their dreams. So once again, I would just like to say that the drug-free lifestyle is trending.
Right.
Therefore, this is something that all of us must catch on to and encourage others to be a part of this. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so very much, DSP Gail, for such informative presentation. And while you were speaking, I could relate to some points, because just today, I saw one of my students who's been in and out of school, and I said, what's happening? He said, Miss, to tell you the truth, me used to take drugs. I said, what, boy? He doesn't look like it. And he said, I said, how come, where did that come from? Guess who introduced it to him? A relative. So as you spoke about the home has a critical role to play in how our young people are being introduced to those things. So he said, well, he was introduced by a relative at home, but him stopped now. So we have to send a message out there to our parents that they have an important role to play in how they parent their children. Dr. Crossman, you hear them things here? What is the Ministry of Health doing to stem the issue?
Well, first let me thank NCDA, my colleagues from NCDA, for inviting me to be a part of this town hall meeting. I first must, before I answer your question, because we have raised some very important points, and I want us to understand, and I don't think a lot of our parents, a lot of our students, a lot of our motivators, whether they're online or they're in music, understand the role they play in educating our children. And I'm so glad that we're raising the awareness, because I always tell youngsters who come before me that the brain develops from back to front. And because it is developing from back to front, it means that your emotions are going to be overriding your cognitive, what we said, that area of your brain that's very important for you to make critical decisions. And so when Mrs. Atkinson spoke about the flavors that are used to entice our young people, right, we recognize that because everybody loves to feel good, everybody loves a good taste, yeah, everybody loves to say, yeah man, I feel irie. The emotions are there, and that's how we attract our young people. And because of that, remember the brain is still growing, the brain is still developing. If you are using substances that are going to be toxic to the brain, it means that you're going to be destroying a developing brain. So I always liken it to a fruit. And if it has a bee sting, or it got damaged while it was developing, it is going to keep on, it's going to keep that damaged area once it gets to maturity. And so when it comes to us in psychiatry, it means that when a lot of persons would have, the National Council on Drug Abuse would have been in prevention, Ministry of Health and Wellness, in terms of our mental health services, would also be in mental illness prevention and mental health promotional activities. It means that when a person, an individual who now comes, having had some damage to the brain because of the use of substances, they may present with mental health issues. That is always very hard for us because you are now impacting a youngster in an area where they are now making choices as to what am I going to be doing with the rest of my life. They're making choices as to develop their friendships. They're making choices as to what is going to happen in their social spaces later on. Now, if you damage that area, or the area in that perspective, where that window of where the development is happening, it means that you're going to have an individual who may not be able to earn, to get a good job, to contribute positively to his development and to community and to family. And that becomes very challenging. We also know that once you have a mental health condition, so we are going to talk about what we call a psychosis. Right. They are hearing things and seeing things or saying things that nobody, recognize or can attest to. That individual, 1 in every 5 of those persons, will go on to develop a chronic mental illness. So we know it is very serious. So when we speak about substance use disorder, we are talking about not only addiction, but we are speaking about the mental health issues that can result apart from addiction. And therefore it means that whatever services we offer, we are going to be collaborating with everybody. So Mr. Stokely spoke about what's happening in schools because we want to prevent it. And when it reached to the point of now helping persons to manage, it means that we are going to have our clinics, our child and adolescent mental health clinics. We call them our child guidance clinics, that they are referred to from our schools, from our emergency room, if they present to our emergency room, from the doctor's office. So we have those referrals that are coming in. So we have those programs that are geared with our psychologists, the psychiatrists, or social workers, to be able to assist our mental health officers, because a lot of these individuals are within our health centers, our mental health officers, which are specially trained nurses who are equipped to be able to assess and manage clients presenting with mental health condition arising from our substance use disorder or our substance use issues. Right.
Wow. Very compact indeed and informative. Thank you so much, Dr. Crossman. We are out of time in this segment. We could talk some more. There's so much more to unpack in this segment. But listen, it takes a village to raise a child, and we are the village. So I want to thank you, Dr. Crossman, DSP Gale, and Mr. Reed for sharing your part in this town hall meeting here this evening. We're going to now turn over to Suzanne, who will be hearing the voices of our young people as they share their information on drug misuse.
Thank you so much, Kamara, for that. And from what we are seeing, we know that it takes all of us. It takes a multifaceted approach for any kind of behavior change to take place. Now, our youth voices matter. And for any kind of change to take place with our youth, they need to be actively involved in that change process. Now, research has shown that if our young people have even one positive influence role model in their lives, it can make a world of a difference. And we have on stage Kedar Williams, I'm so sorry. And he has benefited tremendously from the West Jamaica Conference EYES, the Engage Empowering Youth, Engaging Society mentorship program. And he would have had an history with substance misuse. And we're just going to talk about that just for a little bit. Kedar, you had an history with substance misuse. Talk to us a little bit about that. How did substance misuse impact or affected your life?
That's the first. Good afternoon. Substance abuse affected me in many different ways. I began to lose friends that were pushing me in the right direction. I lost staff members, adults that were there that I took as parents because I didn't know my parents, so I took the people that grew me as my parents, and I started to lose them as well. And even in school, my classes and my schoolwork, they were going down instead of going up.
So basically, I'm hearing that it affected you in various ways. It affected schoolwork, it affected your relationship with others, it impacted your overall functioning. That's what I'm hearing. Now, which substances did you use, Kedar?
I did alcohol,
yes,
tobacco, and weed.
So you used weed, tobacco, and alcohol. Now, because of time, we're going to go quickly into what brought about the change in your life? Because are you still using substances?
First, for me, I was placed here to do work and study. And since I've been placed here to do work and study, it's been a rough journey. But after I decided to go into the EYES program, the mentorship program, and there were people that did the EYES mentorship program that works here that was pushing me in the right direction constantly. Every day I come to work, they tell me, make sure this, make sure that, make sure this. And the team that I'm working with in the work and study, the communication team, they have helped me tremendously, because they coming here into a different environment, had opened my eyes to see that there were much more to life than what I was seeing before. And even back at home, there are people there that talks to me, sit down, tell me what not to do and what to do, etc.
So basically, just having positive people in your life, being here, interacting with the mentors, your mentors, they provided guidance and support and encouragement, and that in and of itself would have made a difference. Are you still using substances now?
Currently no.
Yes.
To be honest, it had been a rough journey to stop.
Yes.
But currently no, I have I have stopped.
So you're drug-free right now. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that came about as a result of these positive persons interacting with you. So research has actually shown that once you have positive persons impacting your life, it can really make a world of a difference in the lives of our young people. Now, as we close, due to time, what would you say to young persons out there, or even parents or persons who interact with young people? Do you have any advice that you would give them?
Well, I would say sit down, take the time to sit down, talk through things with your child, or if you're a mentor, talk through things with the mentee, and make sure that it is not an one-day communication and then that's it. Make sure that you constantly keep in contact with the person and making sure that the person is on the right track, because if you lose that contact, well...
I love it, Kedar. Thank you so much. And I wish we had so much more time to really get down into the story. But basically, we have seen where consistent positive influence would have made a tremendous difference in Kedar's life. He benefited tremendously from the West Jamaica Eyes Mentorship Initiative. Now, with me on stage, I have another young person, Roxanne Ellis. She attends the Irwin High School, and she is one of our substance abuse peer counselors at Irwin High. And I just want to find out from you, Roxanne, being a substance abuse peer counselor, what are some things that you are involved in school that you are doing to promote or to prevent substance use among your peers? What are some things you're doing in school to promote a drug-free lifestyle?
Okay, so good night, everyone.
Good night, Roxanne.
We have, for every month of each year, our guidance department would plan like affirmations, which we would follow as students every month. So during like general devotions, or we sometimes have class devotions, we would say like different speeches and like promise ourselves that we'll have integrity or we are enough, stuff like that. So we partake in these activities to help build youths to be better members of society. Also, during the COVID-19 pandemic, due to most students having like anxiety and those mental problems, so we created a program called Choose Your Friends Wisely. We should have at the start of every academic year, we would have this program where we'd get the grade 7s to 10 students to partake in. We'll create engaging presentations and allow the students to take part in it, have activities where they would get gifts and stuff like that.
I love it. So I'm hearing promoting positive sense of self, practicing positive self-talk. I hear, the whole idea of affirming self and just getting all our young people actively involved in their overall mental health process is something that you are actively a part of, and you're seeing where that is making a difference?
Yes, I have seen.
You have seen that?
Because during the time in grade 7, before I became a substance abuse officer, I did have peers who were already engaged in substance abuse. So I'd often talk to them, because I did not have training at that time, I did not know how to deal with the situation. So I'd often tell them why you're smoking, and ask them stuff like, why you're smoking, and how is it helping you to help stop your stress or whatever you're going through.
Yes.
So oftentimes they'll tell me remarks like, Roxanne, they don't understand. When we go to our parents and talk to our parents about them situation, yeah, they often brush we off, or when we tell them, they'll take it tail way back.
Wow.
So situations like those, so students oftentimes don't tell their parents about problems they face at schools with friends and peers. They'd rather tell a friend than to trust their parents to tell them, because they say they often fear that their parents will be cursing them about something and bring it up and tell it back to them, which affects them. But Jamaican parents tend to not pay attention to that.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why we're having this kind of conversation, because we want to increase awareness among our parents and to just have this kind of discussion to be able to allow them to really understand what are some of the things that is happening with our young people, and to look at strategies that we can use to create that kind of change that we want. Tremendous work that you're doing. And what I'm hearing is that peer-to-peer interaction does work, because, you know, not being able to talk to their parents, but being able to have positive friends who can guide, you know, positive conversation, who is trained in area of substance misuse and how to talk about the challenges and so on, has really made a difference in our young people's life. Roxanne, tremendous work. I enjoyed working with you, and I'm just looking forward to you continuing to do great things in your high school. All right, so we have coming next, we have Nathan Morris, and Nathan Morris is deputy head boy at Herbert Morrison Technical High School. And, you know, we want to just look at, you know, what kind of role can you play in terms of substance use prevention? You're a student leader, and, you know, what can you do, Nathan, to help in terms of, or what can you advocate for when it comes on to substance use prevention in your school? We're looking at drug-free lifestyle trending. We want to encourage our young people to live a drug-free lifestyle. You know, in your leadership role, what part can you play in helping us to get this drug-free lifestyle trending?
Well, first off, I want to thank you, Ms. Brown, for that wonderful question. And also thank you to National Council on Drug Abuse and the West Jamaica Conference for allowing this amazing event to be a possibility. Now, with that question, the perfect answer I have for you is we need to understand the power of influence. As a leader, as a student leader, we must understand that influence is a major part of our job. And as the deputy head boy for Lower School, I'm in charge of a large group of young, malleable, and brilliant minds. And with that, I get to have even more influence, because old heads like me at school, we don't tend to receive information properly at times, and when something so formative and transformational happens in our life, it is difficult to enact change at this part in time. So that question that you asked is very good in a sense where I get to influence people and different strategies that I can put in at my institution. Luckily, at school, it's not necessarily a major issue where drug use is happening, but it happens, and I like that we get to nip it in the bud. And as a leader and someone who represents discipline, I genuinely enjoy having the privilege to change lives at school.
Right. So I'm hearing, you talking about being a positive role model, being able to influence, being able to set that stage and be able to set an example for other young people who are around you, and that certainly, can make a difference in somebody else's life. The power of influence you spoke about, because a lot of time our young people think that a lot of persons are doing it, and just to be able to identify persons out there who are drug-free and proud and have no shame in saying, listen, I don't use a substance, can indeed make a world of a difference. Now, when you hear the theme, drug-free lifestyle trending, what comes to mind when you hear that theme? What would you say about the whole theme of drug-free lifestyle trending?
Well, first off, I think that's a great theme and fitting in our social climate that we are in Jamaica at this time. Basically, bringing up the word trending and using it in this stance, I instantly think about social media and how it really influences the trends. And also I go back to thinking into the music that we listen to and popular culture that we indulge in and how it really goes back to influence. So using that theme, drug-free lifestyle, trending, is really a great theme, encapsulating the whole vision of having a digital age that we're in right now. Also, what I think that should be available to everyone out there is factual information when it comes on to drug use.
I love it.
Because what happens is that I heard earlier vaping and how it's been advertised using bright colors and false advertising. And in that sense, evil enough, they are directing it to children. And in that sense, it's not good. And then they tap into the social media. And that's another place that can go to very detrimental levels. And with that, I feel like everyone should have easy access to different things that educate them on drug use and drug misuse. Because what tends to happen is that, once again, people get false information, they go along and they spread it, and what happens? Bad news travel fast. So in that sense, when there are certain things that are not true, they're going to travel quick, and it's hard to get them out of the minds of people.
I love it. I love it. So Nathan, what I'm hearing from you is that we need to be posting factual information out there that our young people can indeed get that information, and then we share that and we pass it on. We want to talk about the benefits and so on associated with living a drug-free lifestyle, and to just be real. Talk the truth, talk the truth and put the facts out there so that our young people can have access. That's the voice of our youth. We hear from Kedar the influence, the benefit of positive influence on our young people's life. We hear from Roxanne from Irwin High School. She spoke about, how peer-to-peer interaction can indeed make a difference. And we have now heard from Nathan, who is telling us that, listen, being a positive influence as a youth can make a world of difference. Being drug-free and proud, standing up, not feeling guilty or ashamed, is something that we can use and just trend this drug-free lifestyle. So we want to thank our young people, and we are looking forward to seeing you sharing those factual information. Get this thing trending, get our young people talking, share that information. Thank you from our youth, and I'm turning back over now to Kamara. Yes.
Thank you so much, Susan. I enjoyed that conversation just now with the young people representing the other youth from our schools in the community. Absolutely interesting conversations happening right here at the West Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists in association with the National Council on Drug Abuse. Now, because we have a lot more to say, And we have so many stakeholders involved in this important initiative. We have with me this evening Reverend Mark Mullings, JP, and pastor of Emmanuel Chapel, and Pastor Franz Chambers, member of EYES Mentorship Secretariat. And EYES means Empowering Youth Engage in Society. And we have Colette Curlew representing the National Council on Drug Abuse. We're continuing the conversation, gentlemen and lady. We are continuing our conversation. Pastor Chambers, I'm going to start with you. We see Kedar Williams as one of our own. We've mentored him and we've seen where he has blossomed into this beautiful and sound young man, making strides of his own. We have a mentorship program here at West Jamaica Conference we dub EYES, empowering our young people, engaging society. I want you to share with those who are watching online and those who are in-house, how that the mentorship aspect of that program has been helping our young people. But before you do that, before you answer that question, there's a video I want them to play for us to introduce slightly the mentorship or EYES program.
What if we all decided to change the world by joining a movement that uplifts, impacts, and inspires? It's not as difficult as you might think. Join the EYES Mentorship Initiative to effect change in the lives of our at-risk youth. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being rich or popular. It's all about investing your time in someone else, being a guiding hand, confidant, and friend.
5 years ago, you could catch me smoking and drinking at any hours of the day. Being in state care, I lacked some guidance that I really needed. Since joining this program, I had gotten baptized and I'm closer to achieving my goals.
Delivering this type of support is what Jamaica really needs. We strengthen fellowship,
break barriers, build communities.
So join us on our journey as we empower youth and engage society for the building of a better nation.
Thank you so very much. So back to you, Pastor Chambers. Well, first of all, welcome to you, my guests. Pastor, a lot of people don't know about EYES. Tell them about it.
All right, thank you so much, Kamara, for the opportunity to share and for the NCDA to have initiated this very important program calling for national awareness on drug abuse. The EYES Mentorship Program, as you have already outlined what it means, Empowering Youth, Engaging Society initiative, was a brainchild of Pastor Glenn O. Samuels. In 2017, he made a very wonderful proposal to the conference administration that was welcomed because it was in response to the crime situation within Western Jamaica. There was that realness of, and still is, that real issue of crime. You look at the statistics and you realize that we are in a very serious situation. And while we focus this evening on the matter of drug use, drug abuse, and addiction, we also are mindful of the effects and the correlations between both. And so we felt that having a mentorship program to guide individuals, to empower them, that it is a very important means to address this matter. Because many of our youth across Western Jamaica have been exposed to or affected by abuse, economic destitution, family issues, childhood trauma, and other problems that are driving them to lose their self-esteem. And we know how that goes when there is a lack of sense of worth and value. It leads to other things. And drug use is always, it seems, a solution to the minds of many to respond to their situation. And it was and it is still important that community-based, inclusive of faith-based organizations be involved with fighting this monster that is plaguing our society. It's very important that we tackle it from that perspective and realize that this is not just about giving the spiritual food, but responding in tangible ways, in meaningful ways to empower young minds and to give them purpose. And so, West Jamaica Conference, we are spread over 4 parishes, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. There are over 227 different congregations across the territory. These have become centers of influence. They have become places where individuals can go to. So our EYES mentorship program are being initiated right now through trained mentors within these congregations to allow for persons in the various communities from different backgrounds, from different social walks, to access this kind of empowerment as individuals, as young people. They can benefit from that. You know, the conference sees this as an opportunity and a need to implement a mentoring program to reach our at-risk, disengaged young people, and we are determined to do that. Now, I want to make special mention of the fact that we have not only sought to talk with them, there are some that we have helped in real meaningful ways, in financial ways. We have provided sports programs for them. We have provided skills training, partnering with the Heart Trust, NSTA. We have been a part of various literacy and numeracy programs, you know, allowing for them to access our centers of influence and to benefit from training for CAPE and for CSEC. I mentioned our contribution. Between 2020 and this year alone, we would have contributed over 13 million towards helping persons to get back into university, to address issues such as you just got a job and you can't find a fare, you get some assistance. So a number of areas. Persons who were addicted to drugs, persons who were involved in crime and they are being rehabilitated, they have been assisted. We've allowed for conversation to take place right here on Sabbath evenings where individuals get a chance to share their stories and they are assisted by persons who are watching and they feel engaged and empowered to share. So we have seen the benefit. We have seen what is possible. And Kedar is just one of the many examples of what the EYES mentorship program is all about. Yes.
Thank you so very much, Pastor Chambers, for such an extensive review on what the EYES mentorship program is doing for our young people right here in the Western Hemisphere, so to speak. No, Sir Mark Williams, church does not happen in the pews. It takes place when we leave the edifice. We see this issue of crime and violence. We see its relation to drug misuse, even among our youth. And as a pastor of the Emmanuel Chapel, how is your congregation, making plans to impact or to address this issue that we are having among our youth, the drug misuse issue?
Thank you so much. I must also add my commendations to the conference and the council for putting together this program. I think it's very impactful and one of the ways in which we can reach out to persons. I want to advise that the church really has made a lot of strides as it relates to impacting young people through teaching about morals and principles, not only from the platform, but in practical ways as we minister to them as individuals when the church goes out into the communities through different programs. And even as individuals in the church, as they live out the principles of Christianity and Christ, they are impacting communities and individuals in those ways also. Many programs have been put on by different denominations, different churches. I sit here also representing the St. James Ministers Fraternal, which is a combination of a number of different denominations. And you would hear from time to time of the different programs that the churches are putting on when we come together. And that helps to strengthen us as individuals when we gather there, and also helps to teach individuals who are there about some of the different things that other ministers are doing that could be, whether tailored or doctored, could be amended in a different space. For Emmanuel Chapel, as we have heard in a previous discussion, parenting is a strong component of teaching children about the dangers of drug use and misuse and all the adjectives that you can put there. For Emmanuel Chapel in particular, we have partnered with the National Parenting Support Commission, where we have the parent place, and the parent places that have been established across the island through the commission seeks to teach parents or strengthen parents, because we realize that a number of the issues that we are faced with in society is as a result of improper parenting. So if we can strengthen or bolster the parents who sometimes themselves are children, if we can bolster their efforts in fostering the young minds that are coming up under their care, then we'd make strident efforts in strengthening those children to avoid misuse or use of drugs. One of the things that is very, very important is that we as parents cannot be afraid to speak to our children about these things and other issues as well. I find that we tend to be fearful in some quarters to speak to our children about these issues. So when they go out there in the space, whether in the school space or other public space, they're hearing things that are going to guide them down a particular line that you'd really want them to steer from. But if with strong parenting, good moral principles, you can help to bolster them. It's not an end-all and be-all, but certainly it is one way to strengthen them.
Thank you so very much, Reverend Mark, for your feedback, your input on what your church is doing. And I'm happy for this partnership. The Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Law Enforcement, National Council of Drug Abuse, the church, just all of us playing our part in seeking to raise awareness, to arrest this monstrous of an event that is seeking to plague the lives of our young people. I am grateful for this. Now, I am still joined by DSP Gale and Dr. Crosman and Mr. Reed right here and Ms. Curlew. We are going to be taking some questions from the audience shortly. And if you're online, YouTube, the National Council of Drug Abuse YouTube page or WCCN 360 YouTube page, we will be taking your questions. Send them in. We're going to be asking. We have a very diverse panel here, so feel free to send in your questions so we can address them right here. And just before we start taking your questions, I just want to bring to your attention that a program, a town hall meeting such as this requires your feedback. So we're going to be sending around an evaluation instrument to those who are in the audience this evening. And for those of you online, a link will be posted for you to click on and to give us your feedback. We want to know how to improve the offering next time around. And also, this QR code will be shown on your screen. I'm going to pause a moment as it will come up on your screen. You can scan it and you can start doing the evaluation for this town hall meeting as well. All right, there you have it. Now, my very first question is coming from YouTube. And the question is, talking to the taxi and bus operators is a good initiative, but is there follow-up to ensure that it continues? And I'm going to direct this question to you, DSP Gale. As we had mentioned in our previous conversation, something about the taxis and the bus operators, what they can do to assist our young people in this regard. So someone is asking, what can we do to follow up to ensure that this continues?
Well, thanks for that question. We have our school resource officers, and they are placed in every policing area.
Right.
So what we have is that not only the school resource officers that operate in that fashion, but we have our local patrols. They too enforce the discipline to ensure that the taxis and the buses, they transport the children to school, and anything that is happening on the buses, sometimes we get the information. We speak with our partner, also the Transport Authority, so in a view to revoke their license, because sometimes some things that really happen on the buses, you know, the smoke, they have the no panties day, and a lot of activities. So we really partner with other persons. So it's not just that we have a meeting and that's the end of it.
Right.
We continue. So you may not see a meeting like that, but we do continue the service.
Right. Not picking on you, DSP Gale, but there's a follow-up question. The question is asked, seeing that, you know, we are engaged in our taxis and bus operators. The person is asking if it will be useful to mandate the presence of a dash cam to assist in this initiative.
Well, we are in the era of technology, so anything that can help, we really welcome it.
That's right. Good answer, good answer. I'm just reminding those of you who are watching us online, that's WCCN 360 and the National Council on Drug Abuse YouTube page to submit your questions. We have an able panel to address them, and those of you who are here in the audience as well, there is a microphone slated right here to my right, really. You can come up and ask your questions. All right. Now, while persons are coming up, there is a question that I'd like to pose to just about anyone can respond. We notice that our music seems to be lauding the use of drugs. What plans can we put in place to ensure that we hold our musicians accountable to the idea that what we put out is able to impact our young people in a positive or a negative light? I'll allow any one of my panelists to take that on. I see everybody looking at Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed, it sounds like it's you, sir.
I'm not sure what can be done to mandate, but what we can do to influence is to ensure that as much as we are hearing the trends,
right?
You know, I know in the music fraternity now what is trending is being dance. You know,
Exactly.
persons are now fully dance, and song a recent one came out about some other dunceness, I don't remember what it was. But we have to now push as much positive
Right.
as the negatives are there. But we have to be trendy. Your term spoke about being trendy.
Right.
No longer we can just present anything to young people. They are now on Facebook, they are now on WhatsApp, they are now on Instagram, they are on
Twitter,
some other Twitter
TikTok,
and others that
Snapchat.
are beyond me now. So we have to be trendy.
Right.
And, you know, it is difficult sometimes to partner with some of the current entertainers. Because when you do that, tomorrow, they are going back to what you are trying to move against or move away from. But we have to try in our areas, in our spheres, to promote the trendy, necessary values through the arts,
Yes,
through music, through
yes.
sports, through other things. So I don't know what we're going to do to mandate. Maybe the SP can help with mandating, but in relation to influence,
Yes.
we really have to jump on social media as well. Jump on the churches there. Jump in where we have influence and try to speak and bring it to fore what we want to see. So we can't sit down in our chairs
That's
and
right.
think that, we are getting up in age, or we are not computer savvy.
Right.
We have to get there.
That's right.
And that's the only way to reach the children.
Thank you so much. That's a very important answer and compact too. DSP Gail, I see you were attempting to respond. Is it Dr. Krasman?
Yes, she's
Go right
sending
ahead.
me first.
Yes.
I think one of the things that we have to recognize is that addiction is a public health issue. And if it is that we believe that addiction or the use of substances, it doesn't have to be addiction, the use of substances is having such a negative impact on our children, I believe from that standpoint that we can make recommendations, strong recommendations, that anything that promotes the use of these substances that we know will negatively affect our children and the future of this nation, we have to take some rein it in, and we have to have some policy decisions, and possibly the Broadcasting Commission would come on board to be able to remove these music from the appetite of our children.
But Dr. Krasman, they'll say, or musicians, they'll say, but I'm in a business. I am not the one who is supposed to be infiltrating values in our young people. I'm just producing music. I'm not influencing anybody. There are people who want to believe that the music is not impacting the minds. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd have a good sit down with that person. You see, a lot of times, we only recognize the impact when it's at our doorstep, or probably in the living room and
That's
the
so
kitchen and the
true.
bedroom.
Yes.
But we have to, if we can raise their awareness, and I believe that it has to start from early childhood so that we can be able to have our children recognize what it is. Why is it that we're saying that this thing is not good for your health? Why is it that we're saying that it's impacting on mental health? And perhaps we may need to look at all the facets, the mothers, the community, the fathers, the church, the dance hall, because a lot of persons still believe that, hey, because your head not good, that is why you have this problem. Not recognizing that, hey, it is more than head not good,
That's right.
but we are creating some disturbances in the brain.
That's right.
There are neurochemical challenges within the brain. Just as though we have problems with diabetes and high blood pressure, we can have brain problems too. And if we use things that will exacerbate and cause the toxic damage to the organ is going to have there are some consequences.
That's right.
And so it means that we have to be able to have that message, and I believe that perhaps an ambassador, because I can talk to you because you go church and me go church,
Right.
but you don't know the dancehall thing and I don't know the dancehall thing. So probably an ambassador or persons talking to persons within that realm will be able to make the message more understandable, and they're able. The impact is going to be better.
Right.
That is so true. Go ahead.
I wanted to add to
Reverend.
that, and there's a very critical thing that Doc mentioned a while ago, the question of why.
Right.
Because I think one of the things that has happened over time is that question is asked very often of children nowadays. So you can no longer just say, don't walk there, or don't go there, or don't touch that. There is going to be the follow-up question, why? And you have to be able now to respond to the why in a manner that teaches, and not in a gruff manner to say, become a session.
Right.
That no longer works. You have to be able to give the reason behind the instruction. And that's another thing too. We have become fearful of giving instructions and to say XYZ in a very frank manner, have frank discussions, but still be able to respond to the question of why. I wanted to also commend the conceptualizers of the theme,
Right.
drug-free lifestyle trending. If I might take just a quick 30 seconds.
Not a problem.
Just to, break that down, because when you look at the construct of the theme, drug-free, it means where the person and your environment is free of those illicit drugs. So we tend only to look at it in the narrow sense of just the person being free. But for the person to also be free, the environment also has to be free of those drugs.
Right.
You talk about lifestyle. This is what is now popular.
Right.
What it is, the trending, the lifestyle, the way in which a person lives, and then the term trending also. So if I were to put that all together, I would construct it this way to come with this interpretation: the way in which a person lives that is popular with an drug-free environment. And so when you allow that kind of construct to permeate and you make that a popular thing, so it spreads just from me to you to the next person, and it spreads right across. You mentioned ambassador. We all have to be ambassadors in our own spaces because we're all persons of influence one way or the other. So you in your small corner and I in mine, and we bring the influence that we want to see and be the change that we want to see.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Pastor Chambers, and then I'll take Ms. Curlew.
I think, as I really want to borrow from what Reverend Mullings has just said, that we all have to play our part in our different spheres of influence. The truth is that we really need to advocate some more about persons avoiding the use of alcohol, avoiding the marijuana. We realize that one of the main things that are smoked, for example, one is legal, the other is not. No, I'm not defending any, but I believe that it tells us something about where our legislative mindset is, and I think that needs to change as well. We need to realize that we ought to be consistent with rules in order to ensure that persons will make right decisions, because when the authorities are varying in their perspectives, then we can have even greater problems. The Bible says, asks the question, how can a young man keep his way pure? By taking heed to the word of God. And the word of God certainly has a lot to offer. And I want to make that proposal to someone who is watching tonight, that you seriously consider the power and the value of the word of God. I don't want to oversimplify the issue of addiction, because whether it be with drugs or whatever, there is a problem, and it's difficult to overcome. But in seeking to gain victory, in seeking to overcome, in seeking to rise above your situation, I'm recommending the scripture as a very important part of the solution.
Awesome. Ms. Curlew.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly that if we turn to God, certainly our problems will be solved, and with prayer and fasting, but a lot of us don't believe in God.
Right.
And that's the problem. But for those that believe, please continue to pray for the nation, because we need it, especially now, and for our children. But I agree with you both. I think Dr. Crossman said it, and beside you, Reverend Mullins too, regarding the ambassador.
Right.
We really need a champion to lead this charge. And sometimes they don't like to hear from government. So how can we get civil society or even just a patron to be interested in this? It's not sexy, so the artists, them don't want to lose their sponsorship. They don't want to lose that connection with the companies that manufacture or distribute these products. So we need a champion. We need social marketing so that people will adjust to the new norms. Back in my days, you hear 2 is better than too many. Now we are asking people that are married to have children. Some of us did a little bit more than others. I'm troubling some people here. But the point I'm making is that social marketing works.
Works, that's true.
So how can we influence the population? Now we have the I wouldn't call them musicians because music don't sing, but the persons that sing on the music and the DJs are luring our children to other things. How can we change that? And certainly I would ask the church to rise up and become the influencers for them. And they need a safe space where they feel loved and accepted. And that's what the Don do for them. So they turn to crime. The scamming does for them. So they turn to that. So how can they turn to us, the church, and the people to feel that love, acceptance that Jesus portrayed? And that's the reality of it. Apart from that, we need to do the public education that you hear speaking about, build the awareness about it. And we can do so much, but what we need as well is for individuals to take some control, for parents to say, these are my children. Yes. I'm going to govern what happens to them. We need them to get involved. And you heard, Uki said it earlier, and you heard many people say the children, the parents that they need to reach are never around. Yeah. Then the children come into state care. So how can we protect our children? And this partnership and this wealth of experience and outreach would be part of that solution as well. But we have a lot to do, and with each of us doing our role and our part as individuals and as companies or agencies or bodies of the different ministries, departments, or even the church, we as an individual need to do our part in our community to our neighbors.
Certainly. Reverend Mark Mullings, I'm going to come to you right after we hear from DSP Gail. Go ahead.
Right. You're talking about the music on especially in public transportation.
Right.
There is a law that governs that also. In public transportation, you should not have the music. And so it's just one of the things that is not happening. When children listen to these music, it intoxicates the brain. So when they go to school, they have no time. They're not paying attention to what is being taught at school, but the music just echoes in their brain, you know, and that is what they are discussing. Lewd music on vehicle is also an offense. So it's just for us to step up our game also and prosecute some of these drivers. We actually have a thing going. We have some drivers that we earmark already. Right. We know what they are doing. Persons ply the route with them, and they report it. So it's just for us to clamp down on these things. So, you know, lewd music, there's an offense for that. And we just have to get the transport authority, and we work closer and get some of these out of the way. And as we know, drug addiction destroys a family, destroys lives, and it tears apart families and harms society. Yeah. And if we don't get on top of it to help these youngsters, then we are in trouble. You pass the young men in the communities, every morning they wake up, everybody needing flour. Eh? And you see them on the street side needing flour.
Right.
And then we talk about trending. So what happened is that the youngsters, seeing that, tend to want to do it and tend to go over. Sometimes they call them and say, you would come here, try this now. And this is a problem that we're having. So the community on a whole is to help mold the children. So it's like they take a village to raise a child.
Right.
But it's not happening now. So we need to get back to that and let the community also help. Not only the church, but also the community.
So true. You know, DSP Gail, as you spoke just now, I had a moment just now, and my heart felt broken. Let me tell you why. I grew up in a single-parent household, and I never really had the full benefit of a father. Let me tell you why. He misused drugs, crack cocaine to be specific, for many years. And I've grown to see the suffering that he would experience, that his offspring would experience as a result of his not being in our presence to guide us. I've also seen where his lifestyles, you know, transitioned to my other brothers. One of them tragically died, you know. So the family is critical, and I want to look in this camera and say that our families, we are not doing as much as we need to do. children cannot parent themselves. So we have to ensure that we are trending the good morals and good values so that good behaviors can be promulgated in our society among our young people. And so I'm going to come back to you, Reverend Mark Mullings, to share your thoughts. You had something you wanted to say, giving you the opportunity.
Well, I must thank you and commend you for sharing your heart a while ago. I'm certain that it would have impacted someone in the audience, whether here or in the virtual space. What I wanted to commend the panelists for their input. The Bible teaches that love does not seek its own way. And so when we talk about, the community loving, it is the love of an entire community that is going to foster the proper upbringing of a child. We mentioned a while ago about the Don and the Don showing love, but what comes out of that is what the Don is going to get out of it. And that's what they're looking for is not real love. Even today, there is in the social media space a video that is now trending that speaks of a young lady who mentions what is happening in her community. We know these things happen. By the time you reach a certain age, even before your teens, you're sent for as a young lady. And that is not love. What we need to teach and what we need to ensure continues to trend and trend upwards is a proper demonstration of what true love really is. And if we're going to experience that, we have got to be in that space where true love is made manifest. And within the context of family, within the context of church and all the various entities and societies, we can see that coming out. But we have got to be careful of what we consider to be love. I am suggesting that what is coming out from some spaces is not necessarily love, but a demonstration of something with the intent that there's going to be something coming back in return for me. Love does not look that way. Love gives without the intent of something coming back in return. So we have to make the lines of demarcation very, very clear. And I want to, as you did look in that camera, I'm going to look in this camera.
That's right.
And throw out a challenge to the artists that are out there, because there is one artist that I recall, I obviously will not be able to call his name because of whatever, but there's one artist that said that it is not his responsibility to cause what your children listen to when challenged about what the artists are putting out there. So I'm throwing this challenge out there to the artists who produce these songs. Produce some things that are going to be clean and build proper morals and demonstrate true love, so that if we're going to see changes in the society, speak about discipline versus indiscipline. I am one of the proponents that one of our greatest challenges is lack of discipline. And so speak about those things and cause those things to trend if we really want to see a better Jamaica. I am also suggesting that the powers exist within our collective consciousness to cause that what needs to be put in place to ensure that these things don't go out there, not only over the radio, but also over social media. And if it is happening, then allow prosecution to take place. Those are my words.
Profound, profound, profound. And unfortunately, we have run out of time. But I'm going to allow Ms. Curlew and Mr. Reed to give their final input. And I'll also ask Pastor Chambers, Dr. Crosman, and DSP Gale to give their final words to those who are watching online and those who are in the audience this evening. Go ahead.
Thank you. So to help us with managing our children, it helps us to, if we build their protective factors.
Yes.
So how can we build them up as individuals, increase their social competencies, and to make them, go to school, empower them so that they can be employed and become responsible citizens. And then now, so that would mean the parents helping with them, then the community helping with them, so the shopkeeper not selling them the drugs when they go to them, and the parents not sending them out to buy the drugs. So we build them up, we build up the community, we improve the bonding and the relationships that we have with them. The school is protecting them, the community is protecting them, their homes are protecting them. And so they can thrive and strive. So that's what we need to do with our children. Now, we do offer legislative framework for that as well.
Right.
So the Child Care and Protection Act is there to protect them. CPFSA, I don't remember what it means now. Child Protection and Family Services.
Right.
CDA is there. You have, no, CDA was CPFSA. CISOCA, you have a lot of entities and agencies to protect them. We have the tobacco legislation that's being debated now to make sure that we protect our children. So we're going to ban advertising, promotion, and sponsorship so they don't go anywhere near our children. The alcohol policy is now being drafted. So we have acts in place. They're looking at the Cannabis Licensing Authority and also the Dangerous Drugs Act to include Molly and those things in there, and to also refine the legal trade for ganja in Jamaica. But all substances, or I should say, it's illegal to sell and to use for children. We need the legislative, the enforcement of that, and that's what we heard DSP say, we're going to work on those things. But the legislative framework is there to protect them. But we need to protect them. We need to report it if we see the music playing in there, the lewd music playing, if we hear it on the radio, because the Broadcasting Commission has banned it. But today I heard some playing. So I have a duty to call and report, and so do you. So help us to protect our children and just do your part and your role.
Thank you.
Thank you. I honestly believe that there are many well-thinking Jamaicans who would want to play their part.
Mm-hmm.
But in many instances, persons feel that they are not equipped enough. So I heard what the churches are doing. And I believe that there are many other persons who really feel that I can't do it because I can't speak the language of a child. I can't speak the language of young people. I don't connect well. And sometimes even trying to speak to someone, it end up turning them off, turning them away, pushing away. So I think going forward, what we have to do is to collaborate and to see how well we can draw those persons who really want to play their part but are not sure how to. And so all the agencies, I think, need to see who they can influence, and in so doing, do some training nationally for churches, communities, shops, all the agencies, all the groups, all the little groups, all the little areas. And I think when we move together like that, we will see greater results.
Thank you. Pastor Chambers, your final words?
Well, two things. One, we as a church, we join with the NCDA, we join with all those who have partnered to stamp out this epidemic called drug abuse, drug addiction, and drug use as a whole. And I'd like to say to someone who may very well be watching and you are addicted, you are addicted, but you are on this evening, you must know that you are more valued than how you feel. You are more important than how others treat you, even if they treat you with a sense of disdain. And I want to encourage you to lift up your head just a little higher and realize that there's a brighter future awaiting you. And by the grace of God, you can come through, you can pull through. Seek all the resources. You've heard the various agencies being mentioned here. Seek these individuals and get help. And it's 564 help. That's the number. Call that number and you will get some help. Thank you so much. 564 help. Of course, member 876. All right.
Awesome. Why? We should have said amen here and collected some offering, maybe. I'm just kidding. But DCP Gale and Dr. Crosman, DSP Gale, your final words.
Well, I must say, this is about partnership. And the police alone cannot do it. We don't want to put youngsters in custody. That is not what we want for them. But sometimes it ends up that we have to do that. And what we're asking is that once you start identifying the problems, don't wait until it gets big and then you call in the police. Let us talk. take them to us and let us talk to them, help them. Smoking in public place is an offense. So whilst persons may be saying that it's only a spliff, it is less than 2 ounces, smoking in public places is an offense. Therefore, we want you to encourage the youngsters from the home, the church, the community, the schools. We all have a role to play in building these youngsters. So let us put hands on heart to it and do our best.
Dr. Krasman.
What a wonderful collaboration. We could be here all night.
Can I tell you?
Yes. Prevention is key, and we preach prevention.
Right.
But we also want to say, because a lot of times persons wait until it is too late, and when it is too late, we have caused some damage to the brain. We want to protect the brain. So we want to say to parents, listen, you know your child, neighbors, you know your child, church members, you know the children that are here. Wherever you are aware of them. And you know when the changes have started. Teachers, guidance counselors, wherever you are, this child is your child. No, it doesn't have to be your biological child, it is your child. And I want you to look for falling grades, changing habits in terms of how they speak, are they staying in school, are they coming in late, whatever the changes are that you think something is happening, seek help early. And we have the drug abuse hotline or helpline, 564-HELP. We also have the Ministry of Health and Wellness helpline, which is 888-NEW-LIFE. So you must get through to somebody. And you have your pastors, you have your leaders, you have your neighbors, your auntie, your cousin, your mother, best friend, somebody that you can talk to. We want you to use those opportunities. I also want to encourage us as individuals that we really have a role to play. The policies are there. Right now, tobacco control is out. How many of us have ever looked at what is happening? How many of us have weighed in to what is happening? We have a very important role to play if we are going to ensure that we have adolescents that grow up with sound brains, sound minds. Yes, we preach it. We have to walk the walk and talk the talk. Yes. So thanks for having me. And I look forward to more collaboration, very good collaboration. And of course, to my NCDA colleagues, you know you have some stuff to give me, but we'll talk later.
Oh dear. Well, in the words of Miss Lou, I really love this conversation. I love the partnership. You know what? All is not lost. Let us continue to work together. And listen to me. Everybody don't go to church, but everyone should know this text. With Christ, all things are possible. I want to thank you, my panelists. I enjoyed the conversation. I've learned a lot. I want to thank you at home who've tuned in. You sent in your questions. You here in the congregation. Well, the audience. We thank you so much for your participation. We thank you so much for being here. We're going to now shift things a little bit to the other side of the stage. Don't leave just yet.
What if we all decided to change the world by joining a movement that uplifts, impacts, and inspires? It's not as difficult as you might think. Join the EYES Mentorship Initiative to effect change in the lives of our at-risk youth. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being rich or popular. It's all about investing your time in someone else, being a guiding hand, confidant, and friend.
5 years ago, you could catch me smoking and drinking at any hours of the day. Being in state care, I lacked some guidance that I really needed. Since joining this program, I had gotten baptized and I'm closer to achieving my goals.
Delivering this type of support is what Jamaica really needs.
We strengthen fellowship, break barriers, build communities.
So join us on our journey as we empower youth and engage society for the building of a better nation.
what to say.
What to say, Susan? There's so much to say.
Yes, tremendous program.
Yes.
I really enjoy talking to the
Same.
young people, you know, and, you know, we got so much in terms of, you know, as I spoke to Kadar, we saw the importance of positive influence in our young people's life and the difference that it can make. We spoke to Roxanne, and she spoke about the fact that sometimes our parents don't listen, and peer-to-peer interaction now becomes critical, and, you know, building our peers to be able to provide that kind of support to peers. And then we listened to Nathan,
Right.
who spoke
Very
about
intelligent.
youth leadership and the importance of youth, you know, setting a positive example. And then over on the panel, tremendous discussion you had over
I'm
there.
telling you, yes.
Yes, you know, where the whole issue of parenting and policing, tremendous discussion, one that was rich,
very
you know,
rich, yes.
quite informative, and looking forward to next year.
Bigger and
better.
better.
Yes.
That's right.
Looking forward to next year when we are here again, you know, working together, we realize that this is a multi-partnership, multifaceted approach to curbing this epidemic, as was mentioned.
Exactly.
Yes.
So much. Thank you so much, Suzanne. We're going to now hand over to Mr. Morris, who will, you know, do the vote of thanks and whatever else he has to say to us. So let's join him now at center stage.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much. This evening, such an awesome evening. And indeed, we must say thanks to the Almighty God for the leadership, for the direction, and for the seamless execution of this evening's program. We are grateful for our partnership. And we must extend thanks to the administrative body of the West Jamaica Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. We say thanks to Pastor Glenn O. Samuels, the president, Pastor Vincent Rose, the executive secretary, Mrs. Marianne Bennett Popkin, the treasurer. Special thanks to our ongoing partners, the government official who represented us this evening, the Honorable Conrad Pitkin, Custos Rotolorum of St. James, our mayor's representative, Councillor David Brown, other esteemed stakeholders, our wonderful panelists. We can't say nothing else but a big thank you to your expertise, to your expression, to your sharing. From Western Regional Health Authority of the Ministry of Health, we say thanks to Dr. Marcia Johnson Campbell, our chronic disease coordinator. We say thanks to Dr. Elizabeth Crossman, our regional consulting psychiatrist. We say thanks to the Education Ministry from Region 4, Mr. Stokely Reed. We say thanks to the Jamaica Constable of Force through the representation of DSP Angela McIntosh Gale, who represents the Community Safety and Security Branch. We say thanks to our special item that was done, our musical item, those from the children, and we say thanks to them. Awesome mix in what we did this evening. We say thanks to our youth. Our youth made a very good injection in all that was happening here this evening. Our youngsters, so we say thanks to the Herbert Morrison representative, which is Nathan Morris, who expressed himself very well. We say thanks to the Irwin High School representative, Ms. Roxanne Ellis. We say thanks to Kedar Williams, the ICE youth representative, who shared his experience with us. We say thanks to the ICE Mentorship Secretariat, who is headed by Pastor Franz Chambers, and Ms. Kedisha Grant, Mr. Neil McIntosh, an awesome group of people who work well in the execution. We must say thanks to Reverend Mark Mullins from the Mount Salem Gospel Chapel, who also represented the Ministers Fraternal. We must extend express our sincere gratitude to the West Jamaica Conference family. And we are going to say this to Pastor Jonathan Mary and his communication team. All that happens here this evening, we must say thank you very much for your input, your execution. We just see everything just works so seamlessly. We say thanks to Pastor Andre Wallace, who opened in prayer for us. Special thanks to our sponsors, West Jamaica Conference. Mr. Charles Williams, Director of Finance, National Council on Drug Abuse. We say thanks to him. We say thanks to our other supporting personnel who were here. Mr. Garland McDonald from National Parenting Commission, Mr. Eric Vassell from the CPFSA, with Mr. Damon Green from the Youth Service. And indeed, we wouldn't have done this without our community members, our deans of disciplines, our guidance counselors who came out and support this event. Our most hardworking team from the West, our officers from Kingston who came to support in our M&E tasks, our volunteers. We are just so happy that you came and you supported this to the end. Finally, and not least, our amazing host, Kamara Dixon and Susan Brown. They did a marvelous job in the transition and in the execution and engagement of our panel and our audience. We are certainly happy for this experience. And also our media support that came from JIS, and also we should have had the Gleaner support that was here, and we thank them for their extent, and also the NCDA social media support that we were online, and also we came in through the West Jamaica Conference 360, WCCN 360 stream. So we are happy, and thank you for the experience, and as the partnership continues, we do this together. God bless you.